I'd like to thank our Patreon members and our channel members. Thank you guys so much. Everything that you guys contribute helps keep the channel going. In late 2025, a single sentence spoken in Japan's parliament set off a diplomatic and economic firestorm. Beijing's reaction was immediate and furious, launching an economic pressure campaign that has cost vital Japanese industries dearly. The world's second and fourth largest economies were suddenly at odds. So what did Japan's leaders say that was so explosive, and why has it pushed the region to a new state of tension in 2025? The crisis ignited on November 7th during a session in Parliament. An opposition lawmaker asked Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi about a hypothetical Chinese attack on Taiwan. She responded that a Chinese naval blockade involving the use of force could potentially be seen as a survival-threatening situation for Japan. On the surface, it sounds like a technicality, but in reality, it was a political bombshell, in the truest sense of an overused phrase. Under Japan's 2015 security laws, a, quote, survival-threatening situation is one of the very few conditions that would legally allow Japan's self-defense forces to engage in military action, even if Japan itself is not directly attacked. While past leaders had spoken to a Taiwan emergency being a Japan emergency, no sitting prime minister has ever so publicly and specifically linked a potential Chinese military action in Taiwan to the legal trigger for Japan's own military involvement. Prime Minister Takaichi refused to retract her statements, insisting it was consistent with Japan's existing policy and in doing so, lit the fuse on a diplomatic firestorm. China's response has been swift and severe. Diplomatically, Beijing was incensed. Foreign Minister Wang Yi declared that Japan had crossed a red line and that all countries should work to prevent the resurgence of Japanese militarism. Chinese officials also sent communications to the United Nations framing any potential Japanese intervention in a Taiwan conflict as an act of aggression that would give China the right to self-defense under the UN Charter. Then came the economic sledgehammer. Beijing advised its citizens to avoid traveling to Japan, and this has led to massive cancellations by Chinese tourists, with reports of over 500,000 plane tickets being canceled in just a few weeks, and some Japanese cities seeing booking cancellations as high as 70%. China also suspended all imports of Japanese seafood. It's been a major blow to an industry for which China is a critical market. And cultural events have also been canceled, with Japanese films being pulled from release, creating a deep chill in non-government exchanges. And the most dangerous escalation has come at sea. On December 6th, near the Okinawa Islands, Chinese J-15 fighter jets launched from the aircraft carrier Liaoning locked their fire control radar on Japanese F-15s on at least 2 separate occasions. A radar lock is an unambiguous threat, signaling a potential attack. Japan's defense minister called the act dangerous and extremely regrettable, and China rejected the accusation, claiming its forces were conducting normal training and that it was the Japanese jets that were acting provocatively by entering a training zone. To understand Beijing's fierce reaction, you have to understand the deep wounds of history and geography. For China, Taiwan is not just a foreign policy issue. It considers the island an inalienable part of its territory. Any suggestion by an outside power, especially Japan, that it might interfere militarily is seen as a profound challenge to its sovereignty. Chinese state media quickly invoked the history of the Sino-Japanese War, accusing Japan of attempting to revive militarism. This narrative taps into deep-seated historical grievances that remain potent today. And Beijing views the evolution of Japan's post-war constitution, particularly the 2015 security laws that Takaichi referenced, with intense suspicion, seeing it as a steady march away from pacifism. This crisis is a flashpoint in the much larger competition between the United States and China. Japan is a close U.S. ally, and it's been strengthening its military and deepening its security ties with Washington specifically to counter a rising China. The situation is so delicate that U.S. President Donald Trump, while seeking to manage trade relations with Beijing, reportedly called Prime Minister Takaichi and urged her to avoid further escalation of the dispute. He had just spoken to Chinese leader Xi Jinping, highlighting the global stakes of the regional firestorm, as a conflict over Taiwan, a linchpin of the global economy for its semiconductor industry, would have devastating consequences for the world. The events as of late 2025 have shown that the fragile peace in Asia is balanced on a knife's edge. A more assertive Japan, an uncompromising China, and the unresolved status of Taiwan have created a volatile mixture where a few words can spark a major international incident. The line between economic pressure, diplomatic protest, and armed conflict has never seemed finer. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.